What is going on, everybody? It is Mike Charla coming at you for the very first time in an audio format on my website, MikeJC on Wrestling.com. And this is something new that I'm working on. For the longest time, I said I didn't want to do this audio project by myself. I didn't feel comfortable doing it by myself. I always thought that I needed, some help to get this going, but in the current climate that we're in right now, with everything that's going on, I figured I'd give this a shot, see where it goes. I don't know, I haven't decided exactly what this is gonna be yet. I figured I'd give this a try, see what people think, and we'll go from there. But this is gonna be just me talking about wrestling, the thing that I love talking about. And so I'll just get into some topics here and there, and we'll just see where it goes. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is something that came out today, and unfortunately, with the current situation that we're all dealing with the coronavirus, this is not surprising. It was reported today that Roman Reigns is not comfortable with performing at WrestleMania. As we all know, WrestleMania is still going on despite the current coronavirus situation. And Roman Reigns, with his past health issues, doesn't feel comfortable performing in this whole thing going on. So Goldberg is without an opponent now. Now, everybody who knows me or follows me on Twitter knows that I am not, and I repeat, not a fan of Goldberg at all. So him being champion was something that I absolutely hated. I was not for it. I was not happy about it. I was not a happy camper when Goldberg beat The Fiend for the Universal Championship. And just like the last time he won the Universal Championship, when he owned Kevin Owens, which was also very annoying, it was very clear to everyone that Roman would have beaten Goldberg at WrestleMania. And now that that's not happening, Goldberg needs a new opponent. And unfortunately, there really is nobody else on SmackDown that is worthy of facing him. They have done a horrible, and I repeat, horrible job of building up anybody. So there really is nobody on the roster right now that is even remotely capable of carrying the world championship right now. In my mind, there is only one person, and that is The Fiend. The Fiend, as we all know, is facing John Cena, and what better way to cap off a victory over John Cena, because he needs to win that match, than to beat the Universal Champion, get the title back. Because unfortunately, like I said, nobody on SmackDown is ready to beat Goldberg, and Goldberg needs to lose the title. They cannot keep the title on him. We don't know what the future's going to be. As of right now, there's going to be no live events or anything like that. I don't think after this happens, whatever they record is what they're going to show, and that's it. So, for me, the only logical choice is The Fiend. Give him a huge win over John Cena, and then in night one, because as we all know, WrestleMania is 2 nights, and don't even get me started on that stupid slogan, WrestleMania, too big for one night. That's the biggest load of crap I ever heard. As we all know, WrestleMania last year was 8 hours long. That's just WWE, making up whatever they, make up to avoid talking about the actual problem going on. But regardless, give The Fiend a win over John Cena in night 1, and then Goldberg goes into night 2 not knowing who his opponent is. And The Fiend shows up and gets his win back and gets the title back. And we go from there. Because, like I said, who are you going to put in that match? Who? Who is there on SmackDown that you could put in that match that would look believable beating Goldberg? Shinsuke Nakamura? They have ruined him. Absolutely ruined him. And he is not ready. Sheamus? I mean, since Sheamus came back, they kept him strong, but he's only been beating small guys, which is a stupid storyline that they've done numerous times, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to see this stupid thing about Sheamus, not liking small guys and wanting small guys gone from WWE because he's a big guy and they shouldn't be in the same ring as him. That is so overdone, and we've seen, obviously, in the past that size doesn't matter in WWE. So just doing that, to me, is stupid. But Sheamus isn't ready either. He hasn't even been on TV in over a month. Braun Strowman doesn't have a match, but again, they ruined him too. What could they possibly do in that time to make it believable that he could beat Goldberg? As we all remember, Brock Lesnar beat Braun Strowman. And if Goldberg can beat Brock Lesnar, but Braun Strowman can't beat Brock Lesnar, is it really believable to anybody that Braun Strowman could beat Goldberg? I don't think so. So, just the idea of that match, and now that I think about it, I could totally see WWE doing it, and I really hope that they don't. But Goldberg versus Braun Strowman is not a match that I want to see. Braun Strowman, they ruined Braun Strowman, and I cannot get behind that match. So the only person that it could possibly be is The Fiend. And if WWE decides that is the route that they go, I'm completely okay with if they have to take a break from here, and who knows what's going to happen, when live events are going to be back, when crowds are going to be allowed to go back to shows, whatever. If they have to take a break, put the title on The Fiend so we know that when we come back, we at least have a champion that we can rely on. I'm completely okay with that. Roman will get his time in the sun again, I guess, when this all blows over. I'm assuming at SummerSlam, when, hopefully, again, like I said, when this all blows over and we're not worrying about, a pandemic, and we could actually have real live events, and real crowds at the shows again. Unfortunately, it's very, very odd that we're getting our WrestleMania with no crowd. And I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see how it goes. Obviously, it's not going to feel like WrestleMania, I think, to a lot of people. To a lot of people, it's just going to feel like another show with title matches on it, with no crowd. And we've seen in the last few weeks that they can make certain things exciting with no crowd, but it's not going to feel like WrestleMania, So like I said, we have to give it a shot, because Vince McMahon is insistent on running the show, pre-recorded or whatever it is. So we'll give it a shot. This whole ordeal has made me very concerned about some of the other matches. Like I said before, like I've said in the past, I am not a fan of part-time champions, And this has me very concerned about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is, facing Brock Lesnar, and I think that WWE is, completely okay with keeping the title on Brock until this whole ordeal passes, and then giving it to Drew when we can actually get a real reaction out of him winning. And I understand that, but at the same time, I just want the title off of Brock so badly that I can't even imagine him still being the champion in May, if it takes that long for us to get TV back. We don't know what's going to happen, like I said, but I could totally see WWE being like, oh, we want Drew to get that reaction when he wins, and if he wins the title with no crowd, what does that say about us? Are we really giving him the crowning he deserves by giving him the title and beating Brock with no reaction? So I don't want that to happen, but I could totally see it happening, and that's unfortunate. I've been the biggest advocate of Drew McIntyre for the longest time. Even before this run, I was a fan of him in 2010 when they were doing this whole Chosen One thing, and that ended up not working. And then they ruined him, put him in 3MB, and then he left. And, he made a name for himself outside of WWE, made WWE want him to come back, and now this is his moment to shine, and it might get taken away from him. We don't know, and we never know, because Vince McMahon could change his mind on a dime. I heard, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard, that to avoid spoilers, WWE is recording, different results for every match at WrestleMania. And again, I get that, and like I said, Vince McMahon could just decide that going into the show, oh, Drew's gonna win the title, and then out of nowhere decide, you know what, keep it on Brock until we can give him a true crowning. And I just don't want that to happen. Well, like I said, it's very up in the air right now. We don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. We don't even know what's going to happen in general with everything going on right now. So all of those are concerns of mine. And as far as whether do I want to see Drew win the title? Absolutely. Does it bother me that he could possibly win the title and not really get a true coronation because there's no crowd? It does. But that, to me, is better than a continued Brock Lesnar reign. And I think that when we come back, give Drew the title, when everything is back to normal, you can give him a true run, put him in a long feud with Seth Rollins that could go really well. We'll see what happens. Just give him a shot. Don't, ruin this for him just because of what's going on in the world right now, So, moving on from that, down the line, I'm sure that, if I'm really feeling up to it, I might do predictions for the entire card. We'll see what happens. But, moving on from that, I want to talk about AEW a little bit. And, AEW has been very good the past couple of weeks, despite the no crowd situation. I like that they've kind of been pivoting their their storylines because of this whole situation. And this week they were supposed to have the blood and guts match, which is basically their version of War Games, and they postponed that for obvious reasons, like we've been talking about, because they had to. And I'm fine with that. Have that match when the time is right. And again, if they, for them also, if they have to take some time away, record whatever they can for the time being, and we'll go from there with their show as well. But I've enjoyed AEW for the most part, and Jericho has been carrying that place on his back from day one, and he couldn't pick a better person to pick up the ball there and get that place up and running. And everybody there, I think, is getting their fair share and getting what they can, doing what they can right now. There's been little things that I did, the whole because the guys in the elite are, quote unquote, running the company, that they are basically giving up a lot to some of the younger talent, and I don't agree with that per se. I feel like, and I've said this in the past, that they need to win some, just because they are running the company, they don't have to win everything, but they still gotta look good. They're the faces of the company, but guys like Moxley have picked up the ball and ran with it. Guys like Sammy Guevara are getting over. Guys like Darby Allin are getting over. Guys like Joey Janela are fitting into their role. Everybody is getting to a certain point where they, are fitting their roles perfectly. The right people are getting built up. The right people are getting opportunities right now. And I just think that when things get going again, and this blood and guts match, War Games match is finally booked, that the elite should go over and establish that they can win big matches. It's very hard to say what the direction would be after that. Moxley is the current champ, and everybody is happy about that. I think he's rejuvenated himself since he left WWE. He's better than ever, in my opinion. He's killing it right now, and I just don't know who he would challenge right now. In a perfect world, I would like to see him face it's very hard to say who I would want to see him face right now, because I don't know if there's anybody that's there yet. AEW kind of booked himself into a corner by, saying that Cody can't get another title shot for quote unquote forever. And I don't like that either. I don't think they should have did that so early on. But we'll just have to see what they have planned once everything is back and running. And I know I sound like a broken record right now, that I'm repeating myself, like because we just don't know how long this is going to be, how long this pandemic is going to keep the storylines from progressing and keep people from, getting opportunities, or keep people from moving forward in both companies. New Japan had to cancel everything, and and even before this whole no live events thing was happening, and now you can't have more than 10 people in a room or whatever it is, and all of this is just gotten way out of hand. So to say that this is it's very unfortunate for everybody, for the whole world right now. You can't go outside. You can't leave the house. So just the fact that wrestling was still going on while this was happening was weird, but at the same time, we need something, you know. It's getting to a point where there's nothing to do. There's nothing on TV except old movies, or you gotta watch Netflix all day, and some people, like that. Like I said earlier, this is kind of what I'm doing to keep me busy, and I said, I don't know what this is yet, if I'm gonna do this all the time, but it's just crazy right now. And even the world of wrestling, we don't know. We just don't know. So I know I keep saying that, and there's really no way to know. There's no way to be prepared for wrestling. We can't say oh, tomorrow, this could all blow over and it could end, and then everything could go back to normal. But that's just not going to happen. So we're getting WrestleMania, so that's a plus, I guess. But all this other wrestling, we might not have anything for a while, and that's very unfortunate. And that might even hinder me from doing a lot of these. I might have to come up with some ideas to pass the time. But moving on, because it had to be said. Blah blah blah. We all know what's going on. But moving on, the last thing I want to talk about, and I don't know how long these are going to be. Like I said, I don't know if this is a podcast, or if this is just me kind of just voicing my blog, So I don't know how long these are going to be every once in a while when I do them. But moving on, I want to talk about a show that I rather enjoy, and it's a somber note, but still. There's this show on Vice, as most wrestling fans know, called Dark Side of the Ring. And Dark Side of the Ring basically is a documentary series where they talk about some tragedies in the world of wrestling, basically. Season 1 was amazing. I love season 1. The Bruiser Brody episode was so good. The Von Erichs episode was so good. There was another episode about Gino Hernandez that was also very good. And this season just started, the new season, and the very first two episodes, two-parter, about the Chris Benoit tragedy. Now, I just want to say this. I am not glorifying a murderer by talking about this. Chris Jericho said it on the documentary. It is what it is. I just want to talk about it a little bit and just give my perception on the two-parter. I thought it was very well done. I thought it went very in depth for what we already knew about this tragedy. It's been 13 years already, which is crazy to think about. But no matter what you think about Chris Benoit, I mean, he had a storied wrestling career, and unfortunately, wrestling, his career, it can't be, he can't be honored, for that storied career, and it's unfortunate, and I know that he had a lot of great matches, and I think that no matter what you think about the guy, you can still enjoy his matches, but don't you don't have to speak highly of the guy. He was a great wrestler, and it's unfortunate what happened. It is what it is. But this documentary series was so good in how they handled the situation. It was, I've never actually talked about this in depth in any format, really. But the way this documentary was done was so, I don't want to say it was trying to, give people closure, but I think it was kind of trying to give people closure on the situation, on the tragedy. I mean, they had Chris Benoit's son, David, on it, and he got emotional, which is, expected. That was his dad. And to him, his dad could never do that, To him, his dad was his hero. He got railroaded by this, and because of this, he kind of got shunned by the wrestling world. And could you imagine, like, being David Benoit when your dad is your hero and that happens, and the company that was making it possible for him to do what he did for a living is not even willing to talk to you, not even willing to associate with you because of that tragedy. Now, Chris Jericho, obviously, as said in the documentary, was the guy that kind of kept David Benoit loving wrestling, and Chris Jericho was the only person that kept in touch with David Benoit. And on the same Nancy Benoit, Chris's wife, who was one of the victims, her sister, the same thing. Her sister not as much, but she was very not into wrestling anymore after that, and she wanted to be, but how could you even think about that when you're, that happens? And again, I'm trying not to talk about the situation at hand. For the most part, we all know what happened, but I liked, and everybody who's seen it knows by now, but I liked the whole reuniting of Nancy's sister and Chris's son, and the whole dynamic that was there before. David would say that Nancy was like a mother to him, so he probably cared about Nancy's family. So, and they said on the documentary that they hadn't seen each other since it happened, and they had an emotional reunion, which was very nice. And Chris Jericho was apparently the one who put that together, and I thought that was very very well done. And it's unfortunate, the whole ordeal is very unfortunate, and they went in depth about the possible connection to Chris Benoit, having the whole concussion problem and the loss of Eddie Guerrero weighing big on him. Like, that was a big relying factor on all of that stuff, and I thought that, having Vicky Guerrero there to talk about all of this, and having Dean Malenko there, who was another good friend, and even Dean Malenko's wife was talking about, like, all, these things that we might not have known before. Chris Benoit was heartbroken like his spouse had died when Eddie Guerrero died. It was like a part of him was gone. And I just thought that this was, like I said, I think they were trying to give people closure on the situation, and that's why I enjoyed it. They talked about his son also, who was another victim, and David's relationship with him, and it was the whole entire thing was very heart-wrenching, and it might have been very hard to get through for some people, but I think what they did was very well done, and the future episodes I'm looking forward to. A lot of these stories, unfortunately, are very tragic or very out there. The next episode is about New Jack, and if you don't know who that is, look him up. New Jack was quite a character. He was an ECW guy, and he also did a lot of indie shows here and there where a lot of incidents, let's call them incidents, happened, and that also could be a concussion thing. New Jack is still around, and I am not going to talk bad about that guy. He's kind of scary. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. Obviously, New Jack is in the episode, so obviously he signed off on all of this. So we'll see how it goes. There's also an episode about the Owen Hart situation, and I think this might be like the first time that Owen Hart's wife is gonna speak, to cameras in a documentary format. It's gonna be very, very interesting. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but like all of this is just very intriguing to me. I think it's because I enjoy the outside the ring stuff in these shows, and I just really enjoy those, wrestling, and it's just another wrestling thing that it's very good. And I know that there's other episodes. I don't remember off the top of my head what the other episodes are about. Actually, now that I think about it, I know there's going to be one about David Schultz. Look that guy up, because that's another one. That's another character. There's going to be a Jimmy Snuka one, and his whole situation that happened. Not going to get into that, but yeah, look, if you haven't already, if you're a wrestling fan and you want to immerse yourself into something else, and this show is definitely worth watching. I got one of my close friends who's also a huge wrestling fan who hadn't seen the show to watch it, and he enjoyed it also. So it's just another thing to enjoy for wrestling fans like like me, who enjoy all things wrestling. Whether it's, unfortunately, a lot of these things that are covered on this show have a tragic end or controversial situation. But regardless, I think everybody who is a wrestling fan should check out the show. So, I think I'm going to cut it off here. Like I said, I don't know what this is going to be yet. I don't know if I'm going to do this all the time, or if I'm going to just do this once in a while. I think, if anything, I'll probably do this next week just to discuss the WrestleMania card, because WrestleMania is next week, which is crazy to me. WrestleMania, 2 nights, pre-recorded, no crowd, and I guess we're gonna watch it, because that's what we do. And it might not feel like WrestleMania, but that's what it is, and we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm gonna call it a night, and I hope that people who listen to this enjoy it. If you want to see more of these, let me know, and obviously I'll try to make it work. I'll try to make it happen. And thank you if you are listening. You can follow me on Twitter at MikeJC 821, and continue to hit up my website, MikeJCOnWrestling.com, for more stuff like this, some blogs here and there. Things have been kind of crazy, and writing has kind of been the last thing that I want to do, but I definitely am going to start doing it more. But again, thank you if you are listening to this, and look out for more of these. Thanks, guys.